Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by AntDude and SomeCallMeJohnny to discuss the reveal trailer for Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. And guys, what are your first impressions? Because I got to watch that trailer live and I quite enjoyed it, but Ant, how did you feel?
The subtitle is perfect. It is about time. It looks incredible by on every count. It's the Crash sequel that I think people have been wanting since Crash 3. So everything about it just seems to be perfect.
I have to feel some sympathy for Wrath of Cortex in some regard because, I think in Japan, Wrath of Cortex was called Crash 4.
Yeah, it is.
And to that extent, I think Twinsanity was 5 and beyond and all that. So it's that's a little weird. Explain that one to the Eastern markets.
Yeah.
I have to agree, when this was initially teased earlier last week, that we were getting, oh my god, this is it. We kind of figured this was where it was leading to because Insane Trilogy did so well. I was like, okay, all you gotta do is just hold on to this engine and just make new games from there. And what we got was something that kind of caught me off guard at first. I won't lie, because I know it wasn't Vicarious Visions that is handling this project. It's, what was it developed?
Toys for Bob.
Toys for Bob. They did the Spyro stuff, and in a way, the art direction kind of reflects that too, because it went with a more toyetic direction. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say Skylanders-esque, but this is an art direction and character designs that wouldn't not be too difficult to translate into models to sell for toys.
Right.
And I was thrown off by that because I thought we didn't exactly get everything out of the Insane art direction yet. So I'm sure I'll warm up to them when I start playing the game, but I was kind of caught off guard with it.
I think that's fair. To be honest, I didn't notice too big of a difference in the art direction, but I'm kind of bad at picking up on that kind of thing. But I like the look of Crash and Coco.
Yeah, it's a nice stylized look.
The weird thing for me is how thin Cortex is.
Yeah, so some of the... So I don't know how to feel about Cortex just yet. I think he looks fine. We have seen much worse versions of all of these characters in the past. But yeah, I feel like the art direction in general looks solid. We saw a little bit of Engine in there as well, and he looked, as expected. The only main character we haven't seen yet is Entropy, who's going to be pivotal to the plot. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I think in general, I like the more stylized look, because we probably didn't get enough of the Insane stuff because they did it for Nitro Fueled as well, but those, I guess, can get away with being remakes. They are reflections and updates of the past, and looking forward, I'm assuming, since this is Activision, they do have plenty of stuff in mind for marketing and spin-offs, and Crash is going to be here to stay for a while, so they probably wanted a newer art direction to go for with that.
One they can tie to them, not so much, not just a reflection of Naughty Dog's original designs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I'm just hoping that we're just not in a stable time loop where this game kind of elicits a lot of similar feelings I have from Wrath of Cortex with the multiple masks and all that, but Wrath of Cortex was also kind of the beginning of the end for modern Crash at that time, and I'm hoping that's not the case. Because, I hope this does really well. I want this to do really well. And just if we're going to go into the gameplay now, I might have some mixed feelings on the art direction and all that, but, the content of the gameplay itself looks fantastic. I love the things that looks like you can do with not just Crash and Coco and, as we saw earlier in the playthrough, and Cortex, you can play as him. Mm-hmm. But the different masks gives you different abilities, like to slow down time, and I missed what the other one did.
Switch up gravity.
Shift gravity, yeah, because that's what I want in my platformers, is anti-gravity on a whim. It's all right, but whatever. It looks really cool to play, and that's what I'm really looking forward to the most. I feel that's what's most important.
Sure.
I think it's really impressive how they took I was hoping they would go back to how Crash 1 to 3 played. I did not expect it. I was like, all right, we're probably going to get another open area game because that's just what they want to do. But no, they went back to that classic idea and really seem to have evolved the gameplay in what Crash can do. And I like the masks. I think they lead to a lot of interesting potential puzzles and uses. And I've never played Wrath of Cortex myself, so I don't know how they compare to the masks in that game, but this does feel like an evolution of those first 3 games. And
For sure.
honestly seems to be pulling more from 2 than 3. At least in my opinion, because 2 is much more platforming focused, and we saw nothing of other things that you do in
Oh yeah, that's true.
this.
I imagine in time.
Yeah, it seems to be small on gimmicks, just like in terms of like purely different gameplay styles. Yeah, the trailer was light on those, so we don't know for sure yet, but I feel if that's something you would probably emphasize from day one. So yeah, maybe it is more like Crash 2.
I imagine, like, if anything, that'll be a worry as the game gets closer, is how traditional to classic Crash is it? Because when you look at those games, they are, for the most part, 1 and 2 were mostly platformers, 3 had some extra gimmicks, but they ended up being on the shorter side, and they were able to get away with it, obviously, in Insane Trilogy, because they were just old games repackaged. But when you look now to a game that it's the first main Crash game in over a decade, I guess, if they worry about padding out the gameplay with vehicle stuff, and who knows how the Cortex stuff is actually going to, lay into the linearity of the storytelling and whatnot. Those are the concerns I guess I have, is the structure, because I don't know if they're going to do the old formula of, oh, you have 5 levels to choose from, a boss. You have 5 levels to choose from, a boss. I heard rumblings that it's going to be like Crash 1, where there are these sort of islands that go in a linear fashion. Where would Cortex play in a linear progression element like that? They have to throw in gimmicks at some point, because that's what Crash became. But they added so much to the pure platforming that alone is enough of an evolution, because those games are really fun to speedrun, and being able to have anti-gravity, and now there's grinding, and there's wall running, and all these different things that, yeah, it just looks fun. It looks like a proper modern adaptation of the old Crash formula.
Sonic Adventure Remake looks fantastic, I have to say.
Or it's just Sonic Adventure 3, finally.
What did you guys feel about the emphasis on time travel again? Like, immediately after, this is a game following up Crash Bandicoot 3, and time travel was a big part of that game as well. Not to the extent of, because Crash 4 seems to be using it in a more literal sense, where you can actually manipulate time yourself for gameplay elements, where rather that was just the theme of Crash Bandicoot 3. But what do you guys feel it might be a little redundant?
I think they found a way to kind of change it up. Because did you guys watch the interview with Keeley afterwards with the Toys for Bob guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where he talked more about, what was it, dimensions he's talking about then, or I forget exactly how he did it, but it didn't seem to be more time-based. It was more the powers than actual time travel this time around. I could be wrong about that.
I mean, I read a little bit of the info blurbs, I think, on the PlayStation Store as well, and it does seem to be more multi-dimensional than specifically time travel, because they also say that there's like a potential, like they brought up why it's called Crash 4, even though there's other games, and they acknowledge that because they're dealing with multi-dimensional stuff, those other games could technically still be canon in a different universe, and whether or not they will play any sort of effect in this story, who's to say if any of the mutants will show up. I think the Crash mobile game actually brings one of the mutants into the canon, so who knows about that. Crash Team Racing also spoiled us with fan service, so who knows what's going to be canon there and what's not. So time travel being redundant, I guess, but that's, I guess, just become Crash's main identity, because that's the game that people remember most fondly.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about a new game that's going to transition into, I'm assuming, a bunch more games, because it's Activision, it's a monkey's paw scenario. We asked for Crash, we're gonna get dozens of games.
It's inevitability, yeah. It's inevitability.
we'll be sick of Crash.
Yeah.
This seems like the best way to transition into the new era.
The whole idea of a multiverse leading, like, I can like see the ending now, where it's like we have to correct what was once wrong, and then it just ends with coming soon, Twinsanity finished version.
Hey man,
I mean, that would be kind of hype.
yeah, I'd be okay with that.
I mean, yeah, I'm saying I sort of jest, but that also could be a way to like try those games again in a new light, and because I know folks want Twinsanity to be redone so that it's actually a fully finished game. And I would love to see that. I feel this game can kind of easily lead into that sort of deal, especially now that we it has a playable Cortex, and there could be like future team up mechanics. And it's not so much of what the game offers immediately from the get-go, but what it promises for the future.
It's Activision. We're gonna get shenanigans. There's already a pre-order bonus for cutscene for costumes.
Yeah, oh my god! Because I know you kind of feel it in your gut. And I was like, all right, you remember Nitro Fuel?
Yeah,
remember Nitro Fuel after like a week it was released.
Yeah,
Activision might stink something up, and there's nothing too extravagant yet, but the
give it time
suit. And I was like, oh boy.
They've teased other playable characters too. I think in that interview.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
I don't know who else would be playable. I mean, I guess they could bring in Crunch if they want to do that for the multidimensional
They could bring in Nina.
Cortex is probably.
They could always do some fake Crash nonsense.
Yeah. Find some way to kind of change it up, or they could go weird and have like each villain join you as you beat them. So we could play engine.
It's the trophy girls from Team Racing again. They're just there for no reason.
Sick. And they're all $10 a piece.
Oh my god. I am heading into this with a bit of a worried eye, I'm not going to lie, just in terms of what might be offered day one compared to day two. Like, if it has a pit stop, I'll be disgusted. Because I don't want that. I don't want that to be the new identity of Crash Bandicoot. After the Nitro Fuel fiasco, I don't want that to be a continuing thing. But again, this is also Activision, and I don't have high hopes for them just yet.
Right, that's fair.
Yeah, very fair. That said, I kind of do like these costumes.
The Coco costume I like.
Yeah, talking more specifically the Coco costume.
Yeah, it's really cute. I think, like, I've always liked costumes, because that's another thing CTR did really well. It's, I imagine you'll just unlock more as time goes on in the game. Yeah, that thing, as long as they're not monetized, I think I'm totally fine with as many costumes as they want to do.
I could feel another finger of that monkey paw closing down.
Because this is going to... Actually, how much was Crash Team Racing? Was it 40?
I believe so.
It was 40. It was 40.
Okay. This is a full $60 game, so either we're really going to get some Activision shenanigans, or maybe a little bit better. I don't know.
Maybe.
People, I think, need to accept what Crash, and I guess subsequently Spyro, is going to be from now on. All of these years of begging for these games, it's still Activision. That part hasn't changed. I'm willing to accept it because still, this game looks really good, but I'm also not going to be oblivious to the fact of there's going to be something. There's going to be something there that gets Twitter all up in a frenzy. There's going to be people wanting to boycott the game and all that crap. But that's just we asked for this.
Yeah,
we technically asked for this.
I mean, I'll be a little happier if they just alternate between Crash and Spyro, give each of them more development time.
Yeah, I only care about if the games are good. I've been through the dark Crash times, which arguably is the entire lifetime. The fact that just the game looks good is better than anything a Crash fan has received since Wrath of Cortex. And I like Twin Sanity, but that game is rough. So that's all I can ask for. Anything else I'm willing to accept.
I just like the way it looks. I like the way it seems to play. It really does feel like a continuation of that. And there's some fun things they're doing with these abilities. The fact that the time mask allows you to actually touch nitro boxes. That's kind of cool. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, there's going to be a stage that is nothing but nitro boxes. Like, the ground is nitro. And you just have to, like, mad dash your way through the entire thing while using the mass's power. I'm calling it now. Like, that's going to be a challenge in one level or such. I'm not looking forward to that. I have to say.
But I mean, that's a cool thing, I guess. The masks are incorporated into the levels. It's not like this is a time mask level. You just play a level and a time mask will show up for a challenge, and then once you surpass the challenge, it goes away.
Wait, didn't A Hat in Time have a time mask?
Yeah, it did actually. Uh-oh.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. This reminds me of something. I don't remember what.
Yeah,
it was,
you're right.
Though.
It did.
It's like, it's exactly like A Hat in Time. But you know what? It's like if Crash Bandicoot can take advantage of that, that could lead to some really freaking fun level design. I have to say, I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
And Yeah, that's the potential is amazing. Do we know how many masks are going to be there in total? Is it going to be 4?
There's going to be 4.
4 masks.
And we don't know what 2 of the others do.
Right.
No.
As of now.
But I mean, I also trust Toys for Bob. I guess I was surprised it wasn't Vicarious. I figured they were doing Insane as a way to build up, because they also made their own level. They made a brand new level for Crash 3. I thought they were just testing themselves to make a new game, but now they're doing Tony Hawk, and yeah, Toys for Bob is doing this. I mean, it's sure. I think Spyro had a great style, and that's, I think you mentioned before, it was reflective of it, but I feel like I can trust them.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Spyro trilogy, so I'm not too worried about this, and the humor seems to be there. I did, have a laugh at that last joke about how many times you've beaten this guy. I was like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I guess, what do you guys think about the potential of, because if the game is $60, there's going to be the argument of, is there going to be enough content in a, I guess more traditional platformer to justify the $60 price tag? Because I see that with every platformer that ever releases, and nowadays, and typically those games are lower in price because, they're platformers, there's no way you can successfully pad out that to justify that price tag. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I think there'll be enough content, but
yeah, I'm not too worried about content, especially if going for 100%, like breaking all the boxes, and I'm sure there'll be masks that you get later, unlock later, that you kind of come back to earlier levels to get to places you couldn't reach before. They have that aspect, and maybe some extra stuff there, or maybe they have the character specific levels in the case of Cortex. So I think the content's going to be fine.
I hope the distribution of content is similar to how Crash 2 handled it rather than Crash 3. Because I didn't mind the time relics in Crash 3. But I have to admit that replaying the stages over and over again to get better times, just to get... Well, it was more of a problem when you had to get gold relics specifically for like true 105% completion, because that... You're not only playing every stage over again, but you also have to make sure you had to get under a certain time.
Right.
Like, better than the blue relic, and I thought that was pretty repetitive. So, if it's being charged at full price, I can only hope that it's as fulfilling as Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3. But I also kind of don't want it to be bloated, because I also fear that's kind of their justification for charging it full price.
Right.
Where... every world will now have like 3 crystals to collect instead of just 1.
Right.
6 gems and stuff. I was like, don't do that. Like, just don't up the numbers. Like, make it more coherent, make it more cohesive with what you do in the levels and what you collect, so that I don't really notice that sort of thing. And it's really hard to say, because I don't know what to expect anymore from a $60 platformer game because Mario Odyssey was $60, if I'm wrong, and that game was bloated. Like, I don't want Crash Odyssey. Like, if it's less than 7-8 hours, I don't care. But it has to be fulfilling, and I don't doubt that it will be, because it looks great. Like, the game we only got like maybe a minute or 2 of the game itself, but from what I've seen, the potential of the ideas that we've seen looks like it can easily fulfill that quota.
Sure.
So it's a little hard to swallow, sure, but at the same time, I also like Resident Evil 3 Remake, and that game is $60, and that has been a really big point of contention for fans because of its short length and the amount of content. But I really enjoy what's offered on the table as is, so Crash just needs to do that. I'm not saying be like Resident Evil 3, like have a nemesis just chasing down, but be as fun and fulfilling as 3 Remake was. So I don't really care about that.
I did actually, like, that reminded me, because I saw there was a detail that was in an interview that wasn't in the trailer. There's gonna be a modern mode and a retro mode, and it all will tie into the life system. Retro mode will have a limited amount of lives. If you get 100 Wumpa Fruit, you get an extra life, and then if you lose them all, you get sent back to the start of the level. And then modern is going to be infinite lives, but they'll count how many deaths it takes to finish a level. And I think it said something along the lines of, if you beat a level in retro mode without dying or something, that is going to be an extra clear gem requirement. So yeah, it's still there. I don't know about getting every box, but without dying seems to be a thing.
It doesn't sound like you need every box, but that still could be challenging.
Yeah, for true 100% completion or 130% 3.5% completion. You're gonna
That's the only way you get the Crash Bandicoot in his underpants costume without spending $20 on this stuff. So,
which you can find in the link below.
Yeah, or that's how you unlock the Tana Bandicoot play.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. She's in the merchandise with like a punk mohawk now. So,
oh, is she?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't taken a close look at the merchandise.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, she'll be in too.
That's cool. I mean, I'm excited for it. I don't know. I think we've gotten past the point nowadays. At least I hope. But I remember having enough bang for your buck led to a lot of bloated games in the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 era, mainly the PlayStation 2 era. And I think people have gotten beyond that, where they're like, no, I just want a nice, svelte gameplay experience. And I hope they understand that. Like, I'm with Johnny. Like, if this is only 6 to 8 hours, if I have fun, I don't care.
Same.
Especially if you have the replay aspect.
I imagine there'll be leaderboards for the time relics and all that stuff too.
Oh yeah, that'd be easy to do.
There's also multiplayer. That's another thing they didn't mention. It's on the PlayStation Network. It says 2 to 4 player on offline, no online, but offline.
Oh,
so
Crash Bash.
There's Crash Bash Remastered is just in Crash 4.
It's like Resident Evil having what was that called?
Not the
It's
mercenaries.
extra online mode. Just make it Crash Bash.
Oh god.
Well, any other thoughts on Crash Bandicoot 4?
As someone who's feel like I've been fighting for a proper Crash sequel in these 10 years and dealt with all the garbage that was being thrown out for so long, part of me is just happy to see Crash relevant again. Part of me is also happy to see that the game looks good, because that was obviously a big worry. I think in the long run, we'll see the repercussions of Activision being the guys in charge. There's a potential for Crash and Spyro to be annualized at this point, and who knows what that means for the future. I think that's, you don't have to worry about it now, but it's something to be mindful of. In terms of just Crash 4 specifically, releasing in October, that it looks amazing.
I'm excited for this even being a thing myself. And I'm speaking as someone that played the ever-living crap out of the original trilogy and was so excited for Insane. But, after Wrath of Cortex, I kind of dropped the series pretty hard. Like, not even because of the quality, just because I just stopped caring. So, I guess my expectations are not that super high to start. I just hope it's a good game. But it's like I'm not really fearing that it's gonna be more tattoo. I never played Crash of the Titans or Mind Over Mutants, so I don't know exactly what's wrong with those games yet. But I'm just it just looks like more of the same of what I really like, and that's all I could really hope for. So it's a very boring viewpoint, I am aware.
It's better than being worried.
But I'm a man of simple tastes. It looks really good. I'm gonna buy it day one because I really like Crash Bandicoot. I like classic Crash Bandicoot, and I really like Insane Trilogy. So it's worth it. I keep wanting to say Toys for Tots, but that's a charity organization.
No, we're giving all these toys to Bob. It's for Bob.
Okay, Bob. Wow, what's Bob getting? Bob is so entitled. But it looks great, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you guys. I think it looks like a lot of fun. There's a lot of potential here. Who knows about the future, but looking at the right now, I'll take this. This is right down my alley, and I'm hoping for a good game. But I think that covers it for our Crash 4 discussion. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Ant, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube as AntDude92. I do all the same stuff that Johnny's about to say he does. And if you want to see a Crash 4 video when it goes live, I'll be sure to be doing that as well.
And you, Johnny?
You can find me on AntDude. I'm kidding.
You can in a couple videos.
A couple collabs, but youtube.com/SomeCallMeJohnny. I'm also on Twitter at SomeCallMeJohn. There's no H in that John though, because someone took it, and I'm waiting for them to go away so I can reclaim it. But I do game reviews, and you can think of me as AntDude that curses. That's
fair.
That's the only
and
difference.
He always wears a hat.
Yeah.
Doppelgangers. All right. And of course, be sure to subscribe to Game Explained for more on Crash and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.